Hi, I'm Adam from the Greyhound and I'm here with Ruben's Butchers and Kin Knives to cook the ultimate Christmas dinner. We're going to start off with the turkey. So there's a 5-step process. To start off with, we are going to brine it in a 10% brine. We're then going to remove the legs and confit them separately to ensure we get a nice moist bird. We're then going to stuff underneath the breast with a herb butter. We're going to cook that completely separate and then we'll rest it and then serve it. Okay, so step one of the turkey is brining it, and the reason why we do that is to keep it extra moist. So providing the brine seasons turkey from inside and out, so you've got salt already going through it, but also ensures that it stays nice and moist during cooking. So 10% brine, the reason why we use 10% is because any more than that, it will actually start drying out the bird, and any less than that, you won't get the right amount of seasoning throughout it. So by 10%, we have 1 litre of water, which is here. And then to that 1 litre of water, you would add 100 grams of salt. And then just to help with a bit of flavour, some tared up tarragon. And a mixture of peppercorns as well. And then what you do is you just want to stir that until you dilute the salt. So for a bird about this size, this is 4.5 kilos, so we're probably gonna need about 4 litres of water. So 400 grams of salt and 4 litres of water. You need to put it into a large container or pot and store it somewhere cool for the minimum of 12 hours. Okay, so the turkey we just pop into the brine, and then we're gonna finish it with a last little bit over the top. And then if you put a weight or something like that on there, just a heavy plate, just to make sure that it's completely submerged under the liquid, and then leave that for 12 hours. Okay, so talking turkey, we're now gonna just remove the legs from the main body or the crown. It's actually a lot more simple than what you think, or you could get your friendly butcher Rubens to do it for you, because they will. So what you need to do is we're just gonna cut down either side, just where the legs are. And then what you do is you're basically popping the joint out, like so. And then we're gonna just run a knife straight through, and we'll just pop that joint off there. So that will go into our little dish here. We'll do the same on this one, I'll do it from a slightly different angle. So come round here, and again we're going to pop the joint just there, and then cut through just where the ball joint is, and that whole leg just goes in there like so. So the next part we're going to do is we're just going to remove the base out of here, which is where the spine is. So you can just break that here and cut it, or you can use a cleaver, which just helps you cut straight through. And we're going to keep that because we're going to use that in the gravy. So just pop that to one side. And then we're going to talk about the breast and stuffing it. Herb butter time. So what we're going to do is we need soft butter, about 250 grams worth. What we do is we beat that slightly in a bowl just to loosen it up, and then we're going to take a selection of your favourite herbs to put through it. With turkey, tarragon is obviously going to work very well. We're going to use some sage and some chives and parsley for it as well. So parsley, we're using all the stems because they're nice and soft as well. There's loads of flavour in the stems. With the chives, we've just cut them nice and fine. And then when we get to the sage, we're going to take them off the stems and then finally chiffonade them. And again, this tarragon's quite young, so we're going to use the stalks in that as well. So the sage we're going to pick off like this, and then we're going to what's called chiffonade. So we're going to go into a little fine strips. So what we do is we lay them all on top of each other, like so. It's really important that you've got a really good quality sharp knife, so you don't bruise the herbs, but actually slice really finely through them. So finally tarragon, which works brilliantly with all poultry. So instead of using the whole of it, we're just going to run our fingers down the back of it and then just pinch that little bit off there, because this bit's a bit woody, so you don't want to use all of that. It's also quite a strong herb, so you don't need a huge amount of it to balance it out. So go quite heavy on your softer herbs like parsley and sage, and then the tarragon just a little bit less. So with the butter, I'm just gonna rub my hands through it. So just make sure you've got nice clean hands and just incorporate that all together. And then we're gonna season that up. Nice bit of black pepper. It's good quality salt, Malden salt is really good. And squidge that together. Incorporate all that. And then what you can do is with this butter as well, which is great. So we're going to use ours straight away. But what you can do is roll that in cling film into a nice log. And that will keep in your fridge for about a week, or you can put it in your freezer and you've got like 2 months worth of herby butter, which you can use to stuff multiple birds, any type of poultry, but you can also use it in cooking. So if you want to finish it into a pasta or something like that, is really good, just to emulsify the sauce. Time to stuff the bird. So this is a Mobs & Son free-range turkey. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this herb butter that we've just made. We're going to separate the skin from the breast. So what you need to do is get your hand in there. So you're going to push right under the skin and you're separating the skin out from the breast. It looks a bit insane, but it's not. There we go. And just keep pushing all the way down. You want to get all the way to the tip. There we go. And this is just another way to keep the turkey moist. So we've already brined it, so it's got loads of salt through it and it's going to be nice and moist. But then also we're incorporating flavour into this. So we put lumps of the butter under the skin, like so. And really go big with the butter as well, because fat is flavour, which is why I'm so flavoursome. So there we go, chuck that underneath. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work the butter throughout the whole breast. And try and get like a nice even layer, incorporating it all the way to the tips like that. And you can see it under the skin there. There we go. And he's now ready for roasting. Okay, so crown's ready to go. All I've done is I've sat him on a little really basic, what you call a trivet. It's just some onions that we've kept the skin on. And that just means when you roast him, he's not got direct contact with the pan. So you get a bit more circulation around the bird, you've got a more even cook. But this is for Christmas Day, so we've got to talk about Christmas Eve, because most of the prep we're gonna do today, you can get done beforehand. So we'll just pop him over here for now. And then we're gonna move on to the legs. So this is a Christmas Eve job. So what we've done is we've taken the legs off, and all we're gonna do is now confit them in fat. So confit just means to slow cook in fat, or it can be another liquor. Generally it's fat. It can be goose, it can be duck, it could be dripping, it could be butter, it could be oil, any of the above. We're gonna use goose fat today, just for flavour. And we're gonna throw a few aromats in there as well. So that is just thyme and some peppercorns basically. We then cover this and we slow cook it about 150 for around 2 to 2.5 hours, depending on the side. And then what you want is the meat just to pull away from the bone, so it's really, really soft. You're then going to completely chill that down and pop that in your fridge. And then it'll be ready to go Christmas Day. You're going to take the whole thing out, pop it straight in the oven, warm it back through, and it will crisp up and be ready to go. What we're going to do is here is just going to warm up some goose fat. You can put it in cold, but obviously it's just going to take a bit longer. So it's better to warm up slightly. Plus also you're going to release a bit more of the aromats and stuff we're popping in. So we've got mixed peppercorns going in there. Tiny bit of salt, we don't need loads. Big chunk of thyme, loads of that. Thyme is perfect for this. And then garlic. All we're going to do is take the cloves, but keep them whole and then just smash them, because none of this you're actually going to eat. It's just flavouring the fat. So all we're going to do quickly is just give them a little smash. Pop them in. And quite a lot of garlic. It can take a lot. What happened with garlic, because it's getting slowly cooked, it's not going to get like bitter, or you're not going to get the heat of it. It's going to be more rounded and soft and sweet. Bit like when you really caramelise an onion down, same sort of flavour. So we just get this going. And then we're going to pour all that fat over the top. So that's fine like that. And then we're going to pour all that over. And you want to make sure you completely cover it. And that will just slowly cook nicely in there. Get the last bits of thyme. Lovely. So, important thing here to do, especially on a home oven, is you're going to wrap it in tin foil, but don't just put that straight in your oven like that. Put it on a tray, because otherwise if it does blip some oil out, it's not going to go all over your oven and set fire to it. Instead, it will keep it nicely covered and small, like slowly blip away. And like I said, it's going to take about 2.5 hours, depending on the size of the legs, at about 140 or 150. Let's talk gravy. So what we've got here is we've got all the trimmings that we've taken off the turkey, the fat included. We've got all the giblets, so you're gonna have like little hearts in there, little bits of liver, the neck, all really important when imparting flavor into your sauce. Now, there's nothing wrong with Bisto, but you can vamp up your Bisto by doing this. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna break these down a little bit and get these in the pan. And that's going to caramelize all the fats in it. You can instantly smell the turkey fat coming out of it. So with this part here, to start off with, we want to get that to stick to the base of the pan. And then we're going to deglaze that after with lots of yummy bits. So just chop the neck up. That goes in. We'll keep these whole. So your giblets, hearts, that kind of stuff. Just grab himself a spoon. I'm going to crank this up now. And try and get a little bit of caramelisation on there. So you're going to get natural fat come out of the turkey. But we're also going to put some beef dripping in because it's Christmas. And you're going to drink wine and eat lots of fat, so it doesn't matter. And you can get on the treadmill in January. So you've got to take your time a little bit on this because we need to get colour on that, and that's what's going to create the flavour. And then what we're going to do is we deglaze it with a bottle of wine. So we've got an amazing bottle of claret from St John's, which is available at Rubens. Don't cook with any wine that you're not willing to drink. And this is a banger, so also very good value. It's the most satisfying sound ever. Pop of a cork. In true Keith Floyd way, you've got to try the wine first. Cheers. Yeah, that's good. But don't completely Keith Floyd it and drink the whole bottle because you do actually need it. So you're getting the aromas come up now. You can smell that cooking off. We're going to throw in a few little garlic cloves as well and do the exact same thing that we did with the confit leg. I'm just going to smash them and chuck them in and try the wine. Cheers. There we go. And see these little gnarly bits here you can get in now. You see all these little bits of caramelisation. That's where the flavour's going to come from. So you've got to really let that cook out because if you don't, you're not going to have any colour or flavour going on in there. I'm going to chuck in a big healthy dose of thyme. So we don't want to chuck the pepper in yet because we're just going to scorch it because we're going quite a high heat. But in a set we're going to put salt and pepper in it, but also we're going to reduce everything down, so we've got to be very careful at the beginning. And then we can adjust it right at the end, the seasoning. Right, we'll go on the booze now, I think. So we're getting there. We've got some gnarly little burnt bits going on. So all of this here is what you're after. Look at that, that's pure flavour, that caramelisation going on. Yum. And then we're going to whack in this bowl. Now what we're going to do is reduce it down slightly, the heat. but we want to reduce that alcohol right down. So we are going to bring that down. So we're going to let it bubble away. And now we're going to season it. So we're going to go a good amount of pepper. Which will be really nice with the wine, a little bit of spiciness, a tiny bit of salt, because we can always come back with salt later. We don't want a really salty gravy because we are going to reduce that by quite a lot. So what you want to do is now with this wine is get it to like nearly like a jammy stage. So it's reduced right down, nearly all gone. And then we're going to hit it with some good quality chicken stock. So this is what we're talking about when we're reducing it down. So we're getting that jammy kind of consistency in the wine. So that's probably about another 2 minutes off where we want it to be. So at this point we're going to throw in some rosemary. And we don't do the rosemary beforehand because I find with rosemary, if you cook it way too long, it actually gets bitter and it will actually make your sauce bitter. So put it in a little bit later and then you get that nice perfume, aromatic kind of smell come out of it instead. And you see where that's nearly gone now. You can see the bubbles coming up quite viciously. So at this point is where it's going to be chicken stock time. So buy some good quality chicken stock. This isn't beer, this is chicken stock. And we're going to whap them in. Available at Rubens. So now at this point we're just going to bring it up to a boil and then we're going to turn it right down. We'll let that simmer out for probably about 45 minutes to an hour on a really low heat before we finish it off. Okay, so let's talk potatoes. So I think one of the most important things of Christmas dinner is a good roast potato. So this is a Maris. It's a dirty Maris as well, which is actually quite important. So when it's washed, you're already breaking down the outside of the skin, and that's when you start to get like little yellowy green bits on it because it's effectively trying to sprout because it's getting light. So when it's dirty, you're keeping that as it's basically the best it's going to be. So you need to get yourself a clean scourer first and scrub your potatoes, because if you just peel it, you'll end up getting just like a few little brown bits in there as well. So we just scrub them down. Get right in those little nooks and crannies. And then he'll be ready for peeling. So peel down the potato. We're using one of the King's potato peelers. And then potatoes, very important. We're going to pop them into cold salted water. So cold it has to be, because if you go in hot, the outside of the potato is going to cook before the center and then you end up with like a raw middle. So roots like this, we want to cook from cold and bring it up. And then salt is very important because it penetrates into the potato and seasons it, but it also breaks down the outside of it. So you'll get those nice fluffy edges on it. And fluffy edges are really important with a potato because they then absorb fat. And we're talking about fat again, but fat is flavour. So they will absorb the outside of the fat and then that will go really crunchy and crispy on the outside. And then the inside will go nice and fluffy. Traditionally, I think most people cut a potato this way, but what I like to do is cut them lengthways like that and then cut them in smaller pieces. So then you've got more surface area of the potato and that's then going to get more fat, more crunchy, more flavour. So you're still going to get them nice and soft, but by going that way, you get the crispier, crunchier bits, which is always the best bit. People say maybe different, but so they're slightly smaller and flatter, but that surface area is going to get more crunch on it. So we're just whizzing through these. So also with your potatoes, you need to make sure they're all probably roughly the same size, otherwise they are going to cook slightly different. So they look all pretty even to me. So your cold water, you can pop those potatoes in. And then salt, and it's probably more salt than what you think. So it's a bit like when you're cooking pasta, and I was always taught that it needs to taste like seawater. So it's that kind of salty. So your potatoes are in, and then salt. Quite a lot. There we go. And then crack them on. Turn them up to a full boil. I'm keeping an eye on them until the outsides of them are starting to break down and nice and fluffy, and the inside is just holding. And what we're going to do is with these as well, these are all done the day before, so you've got the benefit of cooking them now, letting them rest, and then we're going to cook them so they're firm up again in the fridge. So you can actually take them a little bit further than you do normally, which means you're going to have that mashed potato sort of filling inside, but then you get a nice crust on the outside. So we'll let them boil away, and while we're doing that, we can look at a cauliflower cheese. Cauliflower cheese. Now, my mum technically makes the best ever cauliflower cheese, so I have to say that. This one's slightly different. We're actually going to, as well, we're going to use multiple parts of it. So a lot of people just get rid of this part, but it's actually really good for the cauliflower cheese. It's like a nice little braised leaf, so we're going to keep that as well. So we've got no wastage from that. But so we're going to take them off first, like so. Don't want the real rooty bit. And then we just break this down into little florets. And what we're going to do is with these is normally you would boil these, which is fine, and it does work, there's no problem with it, but because we're sort of baking it all together as well, best thing to do is if you roast them beforehand and impart a little bit of flavour into them from roasting as well. But also it helps dry it out a little bit, so you're not going to get any moisture go through your cauliflower cheese, which can make the sauce a bit watery and not as nice to eat. So there's some cauliflower in there, like so. We're going to put in a few little knobs of butter. And then we're going to season this up as well. Good amount of black pepper on there. So that's now going to go in the oven, and then we're going to prep these leaves down. So you're going to roast these off for probably about 10 minutes. That will dry them out a bit. They go a little bit gnarly, a little bit crunchy, and then we'll make a beautiful cheese sauce to go over the top. Cauliflower leaves, usually thrown away, but actually really, really nice through your sauce. It kind of has that like creamy leek kind of vibe. Now they are a little bit fibrous, and the ends can be a little bit too much. So take them off, and then just slash them into little pieces. And they don't have to be the same size. It's quite nice with this as well, where you get like a little bit that's a bit crunchy, and then you get a bit that's a little bit soft. Well, we'll slice them at a slight angle, just like so. Make a little pile. So at a slight angle, just nice little pieces. And these are actually really good. They're actually really good in salads and stuff like that as well. But that'll be really nice. Just goes through that cheese sauce, wilts down a little bit, and then we'll fold it all together. Cauliflower cheese. Obviously you can make it with traditional cheddar, and it's fantastic. A real sharp cheddar, something cave aged would be really good. But we're actually gonna make ours with 3 different types, and we're gonna treat them slightly differently. So we've got a Comté here, or like a slightly harder cheese, which is a bit like our cheddar base. It's got like a real nutty smell and flavour. It also has a really good body to it. We've then got a really nice, just softer blue. So you can use Stilton or Cashier Blue, or Bingham Blue is a great local cheese in Suffolk. And then of course we've got the OG, the best cheese in the world and Suffolk, which is Baron Bogod, which we're gonna basically use little gnarly bits throughout the sauce, and then we're gonna use some on top just to melt over as well. So it'll be a combination of all 3. Gives it that real rich, deep flavour into the sauce. Potatoes. What we've done is we've just cooked them away until they're just breaking up. We've strained them, and then we're just gonna ruffle them up a little bit. Just a little bit, not too much. Don't want to go crazy. We're just softening the edges, just like so. And then what we're gonna do is just gonna put them on a cooling rack, because what we want to do is now is let them steam naturally. And create a bit of a crust. You see that sort of fluff on the top there? That's the little bits there. This little bit here is going to get really crunchy and crispy. So just pop these on here, like so. And then you're going to leave them to basically cool for about 15 to 20 minutes. And as we're doing these potatoes beforehand to save you the job on, oh, there goes one, save you a job on Christmas Day, then what we do is we're gonna warm up some fat with some herbs and garlic. We'll pour them all over the top. They go in your little tray and sit in your fridge overnight. And then when you need them, you pull them out, put them in a nice hot oven for about 25 to 35 minutes. They should go nice and crispy. But those little edges there, if you see all this fluff here, this is what's going to absorb all the fat. And we're going to cool them, we're not going to cool them completely, so they're still slightly warm. And then when we pour the fat over the top, that will absorb into all those little crispy edges and make a really good potato. So cheese sauce time. Butter into a pan, get that melting. And then flour. So we're making a classic roux or Mornay sauce with our 3 cheeses. So we're just going to get that butter cooking down. We want to take it a little bit normal than maybe you would do at home. So we kind of want it a little bit more nutty because it adds more flavour to it and works really well with the cheese. And you get that kind of brownness on the butter. Just makes it a little bit more indulgent and rich. And you've got to be indulgent and rich on Christmas Day. So butter's on the go. So we're going to take it into it. It's basically just starting to foam. And if you're a Ponzi chef, you call that a beurre noisette, which just translates as brown or burnt butter. But we don't want to take it too far because then it will split out a bit, but it's a little bit further than probably what you normally do. So the fat solids are starting to caramelise now. They're coming to the top. That's about there now. See that foam that's forming? So now we're going to get some like nutty colour on that. There we go. And you can smell it as well. It's got that kind of hazelnut smell. And then we're going to throw in our flour. Just cook that off. You can take this bit off the heat now because you don't want to burn it at all. The butter, you want to keep that nice and caramelised. There we go. So now we've got basically a roux. Just cooking that flour out a little bit. I'm putting flour everywhere. There we go. We're going to go back on the heat, and then we're going to add our milk, just bit by bit. So a little splash in to start off with, and then wait for it to thicken. And then add a little bit more. And just keep adding it until we get a nice velvety sauce. Cool, so the potatoes have sat now for sort of 15 minutes roughly. As you can see, they're like nice and dry now. They've got that sort of shine where they've built a skin up. You've also got all these like fluffy edges like that. And that is going to absorb all that fat. Now fat again, we're using dripping once again. So we've got beef dripping here. But also you can use that confit oil from your turkey legs. It's great for this as well. So all we're going to do is warm this up. And why these are sort of like they're semi-cold, semi-hot, but they've got that little crust, we're then going to just pour that hot fat all over your potatoes. Like so. And we're then just going to mix them up. Coat them completely in the fat, so they've got that nice shine to them. What that's going to do, they're going to absorb into that now, into the potatoes. And then we're going to chuck in herbs. So we've got a mixture of thyme and rosemary. And our friend garlic, whole cloves. You haven't even got to break these up. They're only there for the flavour. Now this, a little bit of salt. tossed together. That's now ready for whatever you want to do to it. So this can go in the fridge Christmas Eve, be pulled out Christmas Day, and then you just pop that straight into a really hot oven, like 200 degrees, for about 30 to 35 minutes roughly. And they get nice and golden. Or if you want to do them and then put them straight in, you can pop them in now and they're ready to go. But that's kind of making sure that you haven't got too many in a tray, so there's lots of space, so they can roast nicely and get nice and golden colour, and they'll absorb all the flavour from those herbs as well. Okay, so we've got our base of our sauce there made, and then we've got our 3 cheeses that we spoke about before. So we've got the Comte in blue, and obviously the amazing Baron Brigade. So we're going to whap all of that in there, like so. And this is just like the luxury version of a cheese sauce. So we're just going to pop that on, just melt it. Now you want this more thick than what you think, because even though we've roasted those cauliflowers, they can potentially just leak out a little bit of water, which will loosen it up. So we're just leaving that to melt. We're going to chuck a little bit of salt and pepper in there. Not too much salt again because of all the cheeses. A good amount of black pepper. I like seeing the spots on it. People say to use white pepper. Hate white pepper. Always black pepper is better. There we go. So that's going to turn into a big cheesy, messy goop. Just basically nearly like a fondue kind of style. And you can smell it. It smells incredible. All those different cheeses coming together. Oh, Chef Street. Perfect. So that's just come together now. So what I'm going to do is I'll just grab the cauliflower out of the oven, which we just roasted off, and see they are virtually there now. If you put your knife into them, the same sort of texture they will be if you boil them. But you've started that process of cooking them out and not imparting any more extra moisture into it. All right, now we're going to slap this all over the top. Let's give it a good mix up. And then we're going to pop these into the sauce, the little stalks, or the leaves, sorry, little bits of the stalk. And then it feels like it's healthy then as well. We've got some greens involved in it. So just mix that up a little bit. And again, you can do all of this before time and seal it in the fridge, ready to go. It'll obviously just take a little bit longer to cook when you pull it out. Perfect. And then we've got the finishing touch to go on top. So we're just going to melt some dripping. So this is beef dripping. So you can just do this with butter or oil if you wanted to. The dripping adds a little bit more flavour. And what we're going to do is just fry off some breadcrumbs in this dripping. That will just give a new dimension to your cauliflower cheese. So you've got a bit of a crunch on the top. And then sprinkle it all over the top there. And you've got fat on fat on fat, so it's really healthy. Tiny bit of modern salt, a little bit of dried thyme. The fresh and the dried I would like to use side by side because they've both got slight different flavours. And then that will go back in your oven. If you're going straight in the oven, that will take only about 20-25 minutes max. If you're going from the fridge, it's going to take about 35 to 40 minutes. Stuffing time. So, sausages. We've got 5 sausages that we've skinned just into this bowl here. And then we're going to add probably about 50 grams of breadcrumbs. This helps bind it all together. Then we're going to add into that chopped, dried or semi-dried figs. So I reckon the more the better really, but at a minimum of 4. Just dice them up into nice little squares. and pop them in. These are great, these figs. Keep it nice and moist and give it that kind of Christmassy flavour as well. So that's 4, we'll go 1 more for luck because they are tasty. And you haven't got to be like exact on your chopping with these because it's quite nice to have like one bit that's a little bit finer, one bit that's a little bit more squidgy and juicy. There we go. And then we've got chestnuts, just the normal vat pack chestnuts that you get. And again, that's the flavour of Christmas. There's probably about half of one of those little vat packs that you can buy in the shops. Unless you really want to roast your own chestnuts up, but no one's got time for that. There we go, so just chop a few more of those up. Lovely, so chestnuts are in. Now, sage, 2 parts. We're gonna go fresh sage. And then you're getting that kind of classic flavour of sage and onion stuffing that you get. There we go. Nice sharp knife again so you don't bruise them too much. Sage is in. Dried sage. Again, it's just got a different dimension, a little bit more savoury, a bit more perfume. Good amount of black pepper as always. Good pinch of salt. Some dried thyme. Nice little pinch. Some fresh thyme. And a little bit like the tarragon, all we're doing is we just peel backwards and take those little picked thyme leaves off. Into there. Like so. And then what we're going to do is you can use a clementine or an orange. Okay, so then orange or clementine and just a little microplane or a little grater. And you're just taking the zest off. You don't want any of the pith because the pith gets a bit bitter. But you want all that in there. And that's got that, you know, that freshness, fragrance, perfume, and also like oranges and clementines, just like, you know, flavour of Christmas. So pretty much hot the whole orange. And then a little bit of moisture. Oh, satisfying pop. A little bit of Madeira, just to bring it together. Have a swig of that again. Lovely. And then we're going to squidge that all together with your clean hands. Just be careful you don't overwork it too much because you might tighten up the sausage meat. Just make sure it's all incorporated. Lovely. And then a little dish, something like that is perfect. Squidge him in and you're going to bake that. So again, this bit can be done Christmas Eve. Ready to go. Should we get everything out? Pack him right down. And what you're going to get with a little dish like that is it'll be lovely and moist, thick sausage meat in the middle, but you also get a lovely crust on the top. And to finish it, just before you roast it, a couple of knobs of butter, a little flourish of salt, and a little bit of pepper. Boom. And then that goes in your oven. That's going to take probably about 35-40 minutes just so it's cooked through. But again, pop that in the fridge. It will take a little bit longer if you go from the fridge, and wrap it in tin foil first, just to start off with if you're going from the fridge, and it'll probably take about 45 minutes, but you'll be all good. Carrots, let's talk carrots. So, carrots are tops on. We've got these beautiful little organic carrots. You want them as fresh as possible. Smaller, I think with carrots is better. They tend to be more juicy and more carroty, if that is a real thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to make them more carroty as well. So we're going to take the carrots, peel them down, and then we're going to cook them whole. We'll break some of these down a little bit, so we will cut them slightly, but in big pieces anyway. And we're going to cook them in carrot juice. with a good amount of salt and butter, so make like an emulsion. And then you've got some star anise, some caraway seeds, and some cloves, which will give it that whole Christmassy vibe as well. So carrots, we're going to peel them down. Just take that outer skin off, which can be a bit hard. If they were like baby carrots or quite small, I wouldn't even bother peeling them, but if they're this kind of size, peel them down. We'll just take the tops off here. Pop them just on one side. So peel those down. And always buy your carrot skin on. You know where you can get these like ready prepped carrots or ready peeled. As soon as you peel a vegetable, you're exposing it and you lose that nice fresh flavour that you get from carrots or potatoes or whatever thing you're getting there. So for the sake of it being convenient, for about 30 seconds to peel a carrot down, you'll get a lot better flavour. Lovely, so they're just peeled down like so. Now I'm just going to take that little top off because he's a bit hard and nip the bottom. This one we're going to keep completely whole, so we'll pop that into a pan. This one's a slightly bit bigger, so we'll just cut them in half. Again, keeping them nice chunky pieces. That one whole, and this one definitely in half because he is quite big. Like so. Then carrot juice, so just pure organic carrot juice that you can buy in bottles, already done, or you can do your own. Star anise, probably 2, not that many because they are quite strong. Just pop them in. Caraway seeds, just a nice little pinch. Again, they've got quite a lot of flavour, so just a little pinch. And cloves, lots of flavour, so probably 4 cloves for this amount. Then butter, our friend again, fat is coming in. Good healthy amount, probably about 200 grams. And then Maldon salt. And we're going to slowly cook them down. So you want to bring it to a boil and then turn it down so it's just a simmer, so it's blipping away. And then once you've got that blip going on, they will just slowly steam, and that juice will actually reduce down as well and get a bit sticky and create a bit more of like a carrot caramel. And the flavour on it, you get like a real intense flavoured carrot. Okay, so we've just taken the legs out of the oven that have been confying. Pop that lid off. We did turn it up slightly at the end because we popped our potatoes in as well, but they're just there. So they are like giving away. So then what we do is we'll take off the herbs. And then take out the legs carefully. Let's move that out of the way. Now that fat is still all good, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a ladle of that over our potatoes just before we cook them as well. Also, you can reuse that, there's nothing wrong with that. It's all good to use. So these now can go in your fridge for tomorrow, and then you take them out and just pop them in the oven until that skin gets really golden crispy. It will take about half an hour. And then you're ready to go, and then you can shred that off and it'll be like a confit duck leg but a turkey leg instead, so you've got that real dark meat that's cooked through, and it'll be nice and soft and flaky underneath as well. Okay, so one thing you can't have Christmas dinner without, I think it's illegal if you have it without them, is pigs in blankets. I mean, what can go wrong when you take pork and wrap it in pork? So these are going to be available. Rubens are doing them pre-made, ready to go for you with these amazing chipolatas and Suffolk bacon. But if you want to do them at home, you can. I like to stretch them out really thin, the bacon, and then start on one end and then wrap. So you get the most amount of bacon to sausage coverage as possible. But they will be available in the shop as well. But there's not really a recipe to this other than buying the best bacon you can get your hands on and the best chipolatas you can get your hands on. And you have to make sure there's at least 30 per each person sat at your table. That's the law. Again, just roll them right up like that. There we go. Beautiful sausages and bacon for your pigs in blankets. Gravy. What we've done is, all we've done is strained out that liquor that we had before, and now we're going to finish it. So we're bringing it up to the boil. We've tried it. So check the salt content, the pepper content. It does need a little bit more salt, so we're going to a tiny bit into that. And then as this is coming up, we're going to finish this with two things. The first one being either red currant jelly, or, because it's Christmas, the red cranberry sauce. So we're going to pop that in there from Stokes. That'll add a great natural sweetness to it, and for turkey gravy it's perfect. So we're just going to get that in there and let that melt the way, and then we're going to put a big glug of Madeira in there as well. A little bit more. And that will give a natural sweetness to it as well. Just bring that to the boil. And because it's Christmas time, you have to drink Madeira as you're making the gravy. Lovely. So that's bubbling away. It's not gravy unless it's thick. I'm not talking like you can write your name in it thick, but it has to have a bit of body to it. So we're going to put a little bit of corn flour slurry in it, which is literally corn flour and water mixed together. And then as it boils, it will thicken your sauce up. And you've got all that turkey fat in there from the trim and the fat. You've got the bones roasted down, really good bottle of wine, Madeira, cranberry sauce, all the flavour from those herbs coming through. And then what we're going to do is we're going to finish it with lumps of butter as well. So to really enrich it and make it really velvety and luxury, pop them in bit by bit. It's called like just your montagne in butter into the sauce. So you're finishing it with that little bit of fat, which gives it a gloss and a shine, and it also gives it lots of flavour. Don't be shy with it. It's Christmas. There we go, so there you have it. So it's a red wine and cranberry turkey trimming gravy, ready for Christmas dinner. Right, cool, so the potatoes, obviously we just cooked slowly away, and you can see now, if you're getting close there, there's like little shards of glass of potato where it's absorbed all that fat. And you've got that real crunchiness, but still nice and fluffy in the middle. Right, so the ultimate roast dinner, minus a few little bits, but the majority of it is there. So what we've got that turkey that we've brined, stuffed the butter under and then roasted as the crown. We've got the beautiful confit legs with the meat just flaking apart underneath. Pigs in blankets, the free cheese, cauliflower cheese with the roasted cauliflower and the cauliflower leaves. The carrots cooked in carrot juice, just finished with chives, and what we've done is just reduce that carrot juice down so it's nice and sticky. The amazing crunchy dripping potatoes, our stuffing, and then finally, to bring it all together, the turkey gravy. So we've got the turkey, take a little bit of the meat off the legs, the confit legs. Some potatoes. Stuffing. Cauli cheese. Our lovely glazed carrots. And then finally the gravy. Top it with as many pigs in blankets as you can fit in your stomach. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.